Okay, I'm back. This really should be the last video. It's really just the last couple minutes to wrap up here. But look, I'm moving again. So we were talking about relative price. So think opportunity cost. Let me just go up to the top here and get a little blank space. Didn't leave quite enough white space in there. Under the original prices, right, when the price of pizza was $2 and the price of Pepsi was $1, what's the opportunity cost? Every time I had a slice of pizza, right, so that means the opportunity cost of pizza was 2 Pepsis, and the opportunity cost of a Pepsi was half a slice of pizza. Right? So what I'm saying is the opportunity cost of pizza. Every time I had a slice of pizza, what did I give up? Well, we were looking at this bizarre, simple world where there were just two things, right? You had $10 and you could spend it either on pizza or Pepsi. Some of you might have thought, like, I don't even like pizza that much. I want to go for ice cream, right? Or I want to do something different. We simplified all that away and said there are just two things, pizza and Pepsi. So the opportunity cost of eating pizza, eating one slice of pizza, is 2 Pepsis. And the opportunity cost of drinking a Pepsi is half a slice of pizza, because that's how much pizza you have to give up, right? Now we're being all fancy. We'll change the color. Under the new scenario, where the price of pizza is $1, right, and the price of Pepsi is also $1, then the opportunity cost of a slice of pizza, so that's OC sub za, right, is 1 Pepsi, and the opportunity cost of a Pepsi is how many slices of pizza? 1 slice of pizza. So what's happened? The price of pizza went from $2 to $1. It went down. The price of Pepsi in absolute or nominal terms stayed the same. But what happened to the relative price? Well, the relative price of pizza went from 2 cans of Pepsi to 1 can of Pepsi. So pizza became relatively cheaper. And you're like, well, that's no surprise. It went from $2 to $1. It got cheaper even in absolute terms, but we can see here it got cheaper in relative terms as well, because the opportunity cost is now smaller. Every time I have a slice of pizza, I only give up 1 Pepsi instead of 2. But what about Pepsi? The price of Pepsi was originally $1. The price of Pepsi stayed at $1. So in nominal terms, it stayed the same, but did the relative price change? Well, Pepsi used to cost, in opportunity cost terms, a half a slice of pizza. Now it costs a whole slice of pizza. So in relative terms, Pepsi became more expensive. Even though the absolute price stayed the same at $1, here it was $1, here it's $1, in relative terms it became more expensive because the opportunity cost went up. So you've got both of those going on. When the price of pizza changes, it changes the ratio, the opportunity cost, in terms of trade-offs for both pizza and Pepsi. So we go back down to here and look at this. The substitution effect says you should substitute away from things that are relatively more expensive and toward things that are relatively cheaper. The substitution effect would say you should consume more pizza and less Pepsi, because pizza is now relatively cheaper and Pepsi is relatively more expensive. So the substitution effect says more pizza, less Pepsi. But the income effect says when the price of something you buy goes down, that's the bottom one here, right? See, this is where I wish I had the color before, right? Up. This is multiple brackets here now, right? The price you buy goes up, you're relatively poor, you buy less of it, but when the price of something you buy goes down, you're relatively richer, you can buy more of it. So if the price of pizza goes down and you have $10 to spend on pizza and Pepsi, when you walk into the pizza shop, you feel richer. Like, hey, I can buy more pizza and more Pepsi. This is good, right? This is all good. So that is that's what's going on here. The income effect says, hey, life is good, have more of everything. The substitution effect says more pizza, less Pepsi. You have both of them going on at the same time. Sometimes I think about this as, where do I have a little white space to squeeze this in? If this is me, right? And there we go. Pretty good likeness of me, right? Then on your shoulder, it's like, you know, the devils where you have the cartoons where you have the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. It's not that one is bad and one is good in this case, but I feel like you have sort of the income effect, a little, I don't know, bird or a little animal on one shoulder, and then you have the substitution effect bird on the other shoulder, and they're both whispering in your ear trying to give you advice, like the angel devil thing, except not good or bad. So one is the income effect and one is the substitution effect. The substitution effect is saying, hey, in our particular case, is saying, hey, stay away from that soda. The Pepsi's relatively more expensive, but buy more pizza. The income effect is saying, hey, life's good. You're richer. You're effectively richer. Buy more of everything. So everybody's telling you to buy more pizza, but then they're giving you opposite advice with regard to the Pepsi. So you're going to buy more Pepsi or less Pepsi? Well, let's see. Pizza consumption went from 3 to either 4 or 5. So we bought more pizza. That's consistent with both effects. Pepsi consumption went from 4 to either 5 or 6, which means which effect was greater? Because both effects were there. You have both the income effect and the substitution effect. But if you ultimately buy more Pepsi when the price of pizza went down and so the relative price of Pepsi went up, that means that the income effect was greater than the substitution effect in this case. Now, that's not always the case, right? But that's what you can infer from the numbers that we have. In our particular example, income effect overpowered the substitution effect. So, last thing, why do we talk about consumer choice theory? Well, there are many insights it can give us. I'll just give you a quick sample of them here. One is, why are newspapers sold in different kinds of vending machines than candy or soda? And I'm not sure that many newspapers are sold in vending machines anymore, so maybe this picture helps you be like, yeah, I remember seeing one of those once. But you know how mechanically how these machines work over here? You put your money in, and then it's basically a very simple, sort of cheap to manufacture machine. Put your money in, it unlocks the door, you open the door, and then you reach inside, you take one paper off the stack. Theoretically, could a person wipe out the rest of the stack in there if they wanted to? They could. Is that a big problem? Well, probably not, given that newspapers sell their papers through machines like this, or at least they did back when people read newspapers in print. But do they sell candy and soda that way? Do you put your money in and then it unlocks the door and then you just reach inside and grab the one candy bar or the one soda you paid for? No, right? The candy machine is much more complex. And when you put your money in, it gives you access to how many candies? Just one, right? Whatever you paid for comes out at the bottom. So why the different technology? Is it because people who read newspapers are honest and they won't take more than they paid for, and people who drink soda and eat candy are not? I don't think that's it. I think the same people drink soda and eat candy and read newspapers. So what's the difference? You can pause it and think about this for a second if you want. But I think one of the causes about this has to do with diminishing marginal utility. You pay for one paper, you want one paper. How much is the second newspaper worth to you? Almost nada, right? You carry it around, it just has exactly the same news. So the marginal value of the second newspaper is very, very low. Unless you're moving and trying to pack up your dishes or puppy train or something. But in most cases, the second newspaper is not very valuable, and so they aren't that worried about people stealing additional newspapers. What about candy and soda? Well, diminishing marginal utility suggests the second one is not worth as much as the first, but boy, it lasts. I could eat 2 bags of chips, drink 2 sodas, or I could grab a whole armful and save some for tomorrow and the day after that. Do I want to take a whole armful of papers and then just read another one tomorrow? Well, no. Tomorrow, the newspaper is not that useful, right? It's old news. Newspapers are, in a sense, highly perishable because the next day there's a whole new edition. So you could use diminishing marginal utility to explain why these things are sold through different kinds of vending machines. We could also use it to think about why, even if you get the season pass to the amusement park, you don't necessarily go there all day, every day. Right? Even though the money cost to you is zero, the marginal cost of your time is still positive, and so the marginal utility from the third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth and ninth consecutive day at the amusement park is less. Right? So even people with season passes who might go there a lot, don't spend every waking moment all summer there. Same with eating at a buffet, style restaurant. Why do you, if you go to the dining hall, do you ever stop eating and leave? Well, diminishing marginal utility comes into play there too. And then, a bit more seriously, we are not going to go down this road, but if you take intermediate micro, so if you want to continue on and take some more econ, in a year or so, in the fall, you could take intermediate micro, and you'll do more of the theoretical underpinnings, but you actually need consumer choice theory to derive a demand curve, right? So the demand curve is downward sloping. We know that at higher prices, people buy less, and at lower prices, people buy more, right? So you get a downward sloping demand curve. Consumer choice theory is the underpinning, right? The theory that helps you explain why that is the case, because as the price of something that you buy changes, that effect, and that's what we could see up here, right? When the price of something we bought changed, we bought more or less of that. That plays into this derivation of the demand curve right here. So we'll leave it at that. Consumer choice theory, really fun unit. You can also do it graphically. I love to do it graphically, but we're not going to this semester as we wrap up. Those are called indifference curves and budget constraints. That'll also come up in intermediate micro. So if you are interested in pursuing this, that's what I would recommend. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great week. Feel free to email me. We can call or Zoom as well. If you have any questions. For those of you who celebrate Easter, I hope you have a great weekend with your family. I happen to be cleaning up my Google Drive I was running out of space, right? So I saw some old photos as I tried to clean it up so that I could do something on my computer. There's an old Easter photo. I doubt that will look like that this year because we won't go anywhere. And those kids are 13 and 9 now, so that was a while ago. At any rate, my best to you. I hope you're all healthy, you and your families are doing well, and